When it comes to arguing against reason, as soon as you show up, you lose. Let's say you argue that rationality is unnecessary. You lose rationally speaking, but you'll walk away from that conversation, and even the other people in the conversation will think that you've won. That line works every time. Anything either defensive, like I don't have to justify it, or just in general. Anything that protects an opinion, or that says that we don't. And the French, they have this word, Cartesian, for being logical and limiting yourself to reason and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, we mustn't be too Cartesian. Or they'll say to me, I used to be Cartesian when I was younger, and then I realized that there is no truth, or that everybody has truth, or some bullshit. All right. Let's try to stay focused on that. All right. When it comes to, let's say you argue that rationality is unnecessary. Is that statement rational? If you concede it isn't, then there's no reason for me to believe it. You just said so yourself. But if you insist I must believe it because the statement is rationally compelling, you've conceded that rationality is the measure by which we should accept beliefs, in which case that particular one must be false. In a similar way, if you were to claim that everything is subjective, I could ask, is that statement subjective? As I was reading, I was trying to think, what is that example that keeps coming to mind? And it's about the objective truth. When people go, there is no objective truth. And I've said this in videos. Is that the objective truth? All right, fantastic. I could ask, is that statement subjective? If it is, then you are free to believe it, but I don't have to. Or suppose you claim that everything is relative. Is that statement relative? If it is, then it may be true for you right here and now, but not for anyone else or after you stop talking. This is also why the recent cliche that we're living in a post-truth era could not be true. If it were true, then it would not be true, because it would be asserting something true about the era in which we are living. This argument laid out by the philosopher Thomas Nagel in The Last Word is admittedly unconventional, as any argument about argument itself would have to be. Nagel compared it to Descartes' argument that our own existence is the one thing we cannot doubt, because the very fact of wondering whether we exist presupposes the existence of a wonderer. Bro, we gotta talk. Number one, Thomas Nagel, what it's like to be a bat. Super important in identity, philosophy, psychology. You can never know what it's like to be a bat, because if you suppose that you occupied a bat body, well, you are now your occupation, you are a bat. Because since there is no soul that can bring the interpretive mechanisms of a human into the body of the bat, so then get some of the input of the bat while maintaining the experiencing mechanisms of the human, you can't experience the bat as a human. You could only experience the bat as a bat, and you'd stop wondering about the experience as soon as you became that bat. So it's possible for humans to know what it's like to be a bat. Only bats can know what it's like to be a bat. So if you can change a human into a bat, if you can take their neurons and just remove all the connections and structures or networks that are attributed to humans, you get it to look super like a bat brain, maybe. You're still not really a bat, because you're a bat from a human. You're a trans bat. Ooh, yikes. I didn't mean to make that. Anyway. But you, that really threw me off. But that's as close as you could get. And then, anyway, that threw me off. Okay. Second thing, Descartes. When I think of Descartes, I think of dualism. I think of the soul and the mind, which is, I think, what maybe any sort of American student or even English speaking, because I remember my friend in our conversation with Fred, my friend Leo and I, in the HMC playlist, it's a Zoom call, he said at some point, soul seems to believe in, Fred doesn't want us to be Cartesian, but seems to maintain dualism, so that's funny. But yeah, Cartesian is something different. All right, now, last thing. I think, therefore I am. Bullshit. Circular reasoning. As soon as you wrote that first I in I think, you presupposed existence, that you are. So if you rephrase it without presupposing that, thoughts happen. So if then mechanisms happen, that they take in input and produce output. Okay, yeah. So it's exist. Mental mechanisms, mental events exist. Thoughts happen. So therefore, thoughts exist. That's still a circular thing because you just established that thoughts. So anyway, that's the point, though. It's actually an equivocation, isn't it? You could, because the only way around what I'm saying is if he equivocated on the term I. He said that I is the I for I think demonstrates a different I is a different word for the conclusion I am. Then, so I don't exist really. I mean, literally, those words, in fact, were several different it's that combined to produce that utterance. So it is the misapplication of a singular pronoun to a communal process. And those communal processes, sometimes the members of the community that are engaged in those processes, the it's that form those processes that come out of this body, they are different. Great. I think we've addressed that now. The very fact of interrogating the concept of reason, using reason, presupposes the validity of reason. Because of this unconventionality, it's not quite right to say that we should, quote unquote, believe in reason or, quote unquote, have faith in reason. As Nagel points out, that's one thought too many. The Masons got it right. We should follow reason. Yes. Yeah. Great. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So what does that mean? Yeah. Yeah, don't add in that extra, like, we should believe in reason or have faith in reason. It's just, the reason's like a cool thing, and it's a good guide for, for getting to truth. It is not a truth in and of itself, and also, I think I'm getting pretty tired. Let's move on. How much time do you have? Oh gosh. Now, arguments for truth, objectivity, and reason may stick in the craw because they seem dangerously arrogant. Who the hell are you to claim to have the absolute truth? But that's not what the case for rationality is about. The psychologist David Myers has said that the essence of monotheistic belief is 1. There is a God. 2. It's not me, and it's also not you. The secular equivalent is 1. There is objective truth. And 2, I don't know it, and neither do you. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. And give that a nice purple underline. The same epistemic humility, which I thought, okay, very good. The same epistemic humility applies to the rationality that leads to truth. Perfect rationality and objective truth are aspirations that no mortal can ever claim to have attained. But the conviction that they are out there licenses us to develop rules we can all abide by and allow us to approach the truth collectively in ways that are impossible for any of us individually. Pinker, you're so... all of that's right, and you're so fucking close. If you just get rid of the judgment, the conscious bullshit, the soul bullshit, you're so... love you so much, buddy. Love you so much. Sometimes when I picture you, I picture Malcolm Gladwell. I'm working on it. Awesome, great. So, why did I get so excited? He said a lot of cool things, phrased things well, beautiful things about us working together and blah, blah. Oh, I just wanted to, Dr. Pinker, I want to tell you my Instagram bio for the last while, last several years, has been trying to find the truth, unable to know what she looks like. I don't know exactly how it's phrased, but either without being able to know what she looks like, unable to never knowing what she looks like. I don't know, something like that. Yes, beautiful, beautiful. And you can take that. You can quote. I mean, you can't take it, but you can quote me. You absolutely. So, and you can even we'll go to my Instagram profile. I think it's phrased well there, or you can phrase it your own way. You can say you're paraphrasing the great heiress. So, all right, how are we doing on time? Jesus, I want to stop doing this. 7:02. What is 7:02? Oh, 19 minutes and 2 seconds, and which I translated to 7:02 p.m. Okay, so I have to pee. All right, let's go back. Let's keep going. The rules are designed to sideline the biases that get in the way of rationality. Look, you can't just say one thing, I'm going to stop loving you. But there are some it's in me that have downvoted the love when you say things like that. And so I'm not feeling it as intensely as I was feeling it moments ago. No, the rules should be designed to just slap the best mechanisms, to activate, to slap the best mechanisms. So maybe you need to revocalate something, or maybe you install new its in the mind such that it goes, hey, if I come to this conclusion or this type of conclusion, then I should check for this. A person installs that practices that through, with these rules and the knowledge of rationality. And then those are the it's that execute and that deliver, rather than the that we call biases that are more eager, system one it's that are eager to deliver, and that we evolve to have there and ready to engage at all times and engaging at all times. So yeah, we just need to just add in, just hire some more it's. We can call them system two it's, whatever. So that's frustrating. All right. The rules are designed to sideline the biases that get in the way of rationality. It fucking matters how you phrase it. It is so dangerous for humans to think there is a rational homunculus in them. The other guy, when you talked about homunculus, wasn't a rational one. The homunculus was the bias, and he himself was the rational agent, the entity. But it's so dangerous to imagine the self as a pure rational thing, and then there's just other elements that interfere. It's like thinking of ADHD as like, I've got all the tools to be able to sit down, focus, and get my work done. But then I just got some things interfering with that. And then of course all your teachers tell you, well, you have to work over that. You have to overcome that. You have to figure out solutions to get around that. Hold on, I have ADHD. What are you talking about figure out solutions? I'm barely able to even do my gym homework. I failed gym class, and you want me to go study ADHD and come up, make a workbook for myself and put all these systems in place? What are you talking about? Talk about, fuck that, I'm gonna go live in the woods. Right, how are we doing on time? We have to try to get through this this whole paragraph. All right, let's go. The rules are designed to sideline the biases that get in the way, of rationality. The cognitive illusions built into human nature. Or just, not cognitive illusions, just the cognitive processors that, aren't super reliable. For especially the questions that we ask ourselves today. And the bigotries, prejudices, phobias, and isms that infect the members of a race, class, gender, sexuality, or civilization. I see. He's not talking about infecting in the racist person. He's talking about those mechanisms built into the brain, and then that. What do you mean infect? What do you mean infect? What's infecting whom? Whatever. These rules include the principles of critical thinking and the normative systems of logic, probability, and empirical reasoning that will be explained in the chapters to come. They are implemented among flesh and blood people by social institutions that prevent people from imposing their egos or biases or delusions on everyone else. Oh yeah, and that's another thing you do. You put in corrective measures such that malay can be sort of not quarantined, but that there are buffers between people so you don't have a snowball effect like Nazism or something, or even flat earth or something like that. Okay. Or even modern day capitalist society. All right. Ambition must be made to counteract ambition, wrote James Madison about the checks and balances in a democratic government. And that is how... 2 minutes. Ouais. 2 minutes? Regarde, je peux plus raccrocher. Vas-y. C'est fait, c'est fait. Mais non, quoi? Regarde, tiens, regarde-le. Non, c'est bon. C'est bon? Okay. Where were we? Okay, ambition must be made to counteract ambition, wrote James Madison about the checks and balances in a democratic government, and that is how other institutions steer communities of biased and ambition-addled people toward disinterested truth. Examples include the adversarial system in law, so you have to have one lawyer working really hard representing one side, another lawyer working really hard representing another side. I think that's what that's referring to. Peer review in science. So in order for something to get published in a good journal, the better the journal, the more it has to have been checked out by other experts. Editing and fact-checking in journalism, academic freedom in universities, and freedom of speech in the public sphere. Disagreement is necessary in deliberations among mortals. As the saying goes, the more we disagree, the more chance there is that at least one of us is right. And if we were reasonable, or at least had critical recognition, and didn't get carried away with every little interpretation, every little interpretation we have, every first that runs, then that would be true. Among reasonable people, or not reasonable people, but people with critical recognition, it is more true, it is a minimal of true that the more we disagree, not only that the more chance there is that at least one of us is right, because hopefully, everybody won't have gotten carried away by one siren that someone said. And then, secondly, also, it's going to be more of a chance that that person who was right gets a chance to be heard and spread that. Oh no, that's just the more critical recognition. All right, I have to pee. We've had fun. Okay, bye. Oh, good. Okay. First of all, check out this view. It's a little windy. That's all right. Picking up on page 41, check out the description for, hopefully, if there's a correct link for with the previous video for reading up to page 41. Actually, yeah, I think that's right. Though we can never prove that reasoning is sound or the truth can be known, since we would need to assume the soundness of reason to do it, we can stoke our confidence that they are. When we apply reason to reason itself, we find that it is not just an inarticulate gut impulse, a mysterious oracle that whispers truths into our ear. We can expose the rules of reason and distill and purify them into normative models of logic and probability. We can even implement them in machines that duplicate and exceed our own rational powers. By the way, today is 2024 Albert 02 Brody. Computers are literally mechanized logic. Their smallest circuits called logic gates. Another reassurance that reason is valid is that it works. Life is not a dream in which we pop up in disconnected locations and bewildering things happen without rhyme or reason. By scaling the wall, Romeo really does get to touch Juliet's lips. And by deploying reason in other ways, we reach the moon, invent smartphones, and extinguish smallpox. Yeah, some people do. The cooperativeness of the world, when we apply reason to it, is a strong indication that rationality really does get at objective truths. And ultimately, even relativists who deny the possibility of objective truth and insist that all claims are merely the narratives of a culture lack the courage of their convictions. The cultural anthropologists or literary scholars